time is 6:07, and the place is the Administration Building, 1401 East 144th Street, East Chicago, Indiana. This meeting is also being live streamed on YouTube. This is a meeting of the school board and public for the purpose of conducting the school corporation's business and is not considered a public community meeting. We can go ahead with the roll call vote.
Trustee Gibson King,
Yes.
Trustee Gomez,
Present.
Trustee Smith,
Present.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Present.
Chairman Archiego.
Present. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Chelsea, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The School City of East Chicago is committed to developing a community of lifelong learners who are empowered to access, process, evaluate, and ethically apply information in an ever-changing global society. All right, we will go ahead with, we will go ahead and start off with administrators' reports tonight. Dr. Mitchell.
Yes, thank you for giving me the opportunity to provide a report to the school board and the community. I'm going to try to be as brief as I can. We have been working on being proactive in terms of making sure that not only summer school but also the fall semester is going to start off really strong. So summer school programming has been finalized and those reports are in. We're currently beginning to hire for the summer school program and make sure that we're fully staffed. We want to have that done before the month's end so that when summer school starts in June, we'll be ready to go without having very much things that we will have left over. Also, we have begun the programming for the fall semester, getting the buildings rescheduled and also looking at seeing how we can theme our elementary schools and also strengthen the programming at our high schools. We're well into that, and we just started a fellowship with an organization called Ed Power, and that fellowship will take place over the next 2 months, and we do have a couple of board members that's participating with that, and so that's looking fairly well. This summer, we're going to have the addition of summer camps that include sports and also other extracurricular activities. In those summer sports, we will have our traditional sports is trying to get our students prepared for the coming year, but also the extracurricular activities we'll be doing in terms of enrichment. We'll be offering art, music, and various other types of things to make sure we have well-rounded students as we continue to rebuild our district. We're in the beginning phases of our capital project for the HVACs. Currently, Harrison, McKinley, and Washington, they've already begun the expected some demolition. And right now, the school, Washington, they will be having work done over the evening hours from the time, I think, 4 o'clock to 1:30 a.m. in the morning to get their HVAC done, and we'll do the same thing with the other schools. And we're trying to schedule this so that we have no impact to instruction, and so far that's going very well. Some really great news is our science of reading. The state had a threshold of 70% for us not to be lumped into a category for failing. This is the first time that these scores have come out, and I'm proud to say that McKinley is at 68%, Harrison is at 63%, so we just have a little bit more to go. By the end of this school year, beginning of next school year, we hope to be at that 70% where we can start to have science and reading as something we do and not something that we've been mandated to do. I think that with the state's emphasis on reading, that we're making significant gains, and so that's great. We have a few activities that's that we've partnered with. The library is having a 4.5K fun walk on April 12th, and so we will be participating with that. We also have the autism run with our special education department that will also be taking place. So we do encourage our community to sign up and participate in those events. We've partnered with the Y in Whiting, as well as the Y in Hammond, to also offer additional activities for our students in the summertime. This, we won't be able to provide transportation, but there are scholarships that's available to our students. We know the Y has a cost associated with it. Those scholarships will cover the cost, but not transportation. So we do have camp options here, and we'll have these distributed to our schools. They're focusing on K through 8. So this will go out to the schools, and that summer summer camp will be starting at in June, but it'll go through the whole summer. So this will be something that our parents and our students can definitely take advantage of to ensure that they have not only a safe summer, but one that's a fun summer that will be fulfilling. We've begun our contractual agreement with Mozzie Education. We had our first meeting last week, and that went very well, our kickoff meeting. We'll be meeting with them every week until we get our finances taken care of, and not only for the federal programs, but also some of the ESSER funding. There will be a report that will be generated for the board as well as the community so that you all know what's going on and how we're utilizing the dollars that's been entrusted to us for the benefit of our schools, our community, and our students. You will get further information as we go on. There will be, like I said, a public meeting to discuss some of those activities that we're doing. Our athletic director has revived a relationship that we've had that kind of that was shelved right before the pandemic, and that is Pop Warner, Northlake Pop Warner with football. So that's been revived. It was going to be no cost to us. In order for our students to participate, they have to have 70% pass or 2.0 grade point average or the equivalent to participate in this program. So again, not only do we take athletics seriously, but we take academics even more seriously. And this is one way that, again, we can provide additional holistic activities for our children. That's academics as well as athletics, things that they enjoy, moving them on the continuum to become very successful adults, and making sure that they have the tools that's necessary for them when they leave us to enter the workplace or college career with a skill set that's marketable, valuable, and also that not only we'll be proud of as a school community, but the parents, and they'll be proud of themselves also. We have okay. I'm not sure if you all are aware, but the state of Indiana has voted to redesign the high school diploma types. So beginning this school year, there's going to be 2 diplomas, the Indiana Graduates Prepared to Succeed diploma, and that's a more personalized, flexible approach to Core 40, just giving the students a few more options as they pursue that Core 40 diploma. And then the second diploma that will be offered in the state of Indiana is the Indiana Graduates Prepared to Succeed Diploma Plus. And that diploma is a diploma that will align the courses with real experiences and also our CTE programming and things like that. So now our students will have 2 different diplomas that they can earn, both preparing them for college, career, and military. And this is something that the state has adopted, and it's these new diplomas will take effect beginning with the class of 2029. That means that our sophomores, our freshmen will be the first to experience this, but I believe it's going to be enacted starting this fall. So even our current students will be able to take advantage of some of the programming that's here. We also have some reports. I took a little time to do some analytics, and it's just a brief. I know that in our last board meeting, we did have someone come to talk about test scores, and I just wanted to give a holistic overview of our test scores. Our English and Language Arts district achievement over from the 2018-2019 school year to present. Overall, all grade levels from 3rd through 8th grade, we've seen modest gains. At proficiency, we've had gains of 8, 11, and 12%. Those have upticked. And then above proficiency, we have roughly 2 to 3% of our students at or above proficiency since the pre-pandemic. For our math in the district, we also seen modest gains there. At proficiency, we've had increases of 6% in 2021-2022 school year, 2022-23 school year, that was a 9%. We haven't gotten the scores for this year, but at above proficiency, we did have, again, another small but increase, not a decrease, of 1% in 2020, 2021, and then 2% in the 2022-2023 school year. So we've been seeing modest gains in the district in both our ELA and math. In our science, we also have seen some gains at our students achieving at proficiency in 2021-2022 at 5%, 2022-23 at 7%, and above proficiency, we've seen just a small uptick of 1% in both of those academic years, but these are above what was our scores pre-pandemic. So those are just some brief, and that's, like I said, is across grade levels. I figured that that would be an easier way to communicate to the district than to go into the minutia, but I do have a report, and if you want to see more of that data, the data dig, we'll gladly provide that to you. Again, as always, I want to thank you for allowing me to serve in this position as interim superintendent, the community, the board, as well as all those who have been very encouraging as I sit in this seat leading the district forward. That concludes my report. Thank you.
All right. We will move on with the Chief Financial Officer's report.
I'm just going to give an overview of the current finances that's coming into the district right now. So I have Ms. Artist handing out some papers for me. I appreciate it. So currently, our basic grant that comes into the district from the state, it encumbers the basic grant that we get from the state, and then we also get AP grant, which is from honors, and then also we have, okay, we gonna have this working well. Okay, so we also get special ed grant that we get in with part of the basic grant. We get a CTE portion of the basic grant. We get an NESP, which is non-English speaking part of the grant. So at the end of the school year, we'll average $28 million from the state. Also, within that $28 million, the state also removes one loan that we have out with them. We paid through that amount. Property tax. Property tax is operations for us. This takes care of all of the facilities, also all of the administration salaries. So there's an average of what a property tax has been for the last 3 years. We kind of took a drop in '22, and I do believe this was a carryover from coming from COVID over for our taxes. So we rebound right back up in '23. So we averaged $12 million a year for our property taxes. Of this $12 million, we probably use $10 million of it for the resources of the buildings, the resources of our administrators' salaries. So our budget, and I prepare a budget every year in October, we approve it. So on average, in '21, we use 96% of our budget. '22, we use 93% of our budget. '23, we use 94% of our budget. Our budget is always average high. I advertise it high due to the fact we don't know what the state is going to eliminate from our budget. So we always go at a higher amount on advertising our budget. So we've been doing pretty good on staying within the budget range, not asking for any more appropriations. In '24, we only used 21%. That's just because the budget is from the calendar year, which is January to December. Okay, so federal grants, we have the federal grants of title, and we have the federal grants of special ed. So they're listed is the total amount that we have received from the state. In a later report, I will get how much has been encumbered, how much has been spent, and what do we have left to spend within the district, and how we're going to allocate it out. All these funds need to be allocated out by September the 30th. All has to be spent by December 31st. I'm sorry, December the 15th. They're going to get me for that date. December the 15th, all funds have to be expended out. Yes, that's the end of the report. And also, we will be holding a community workshop possibility in May of all of the finances, including the ESSER and where the ESSER dollars is went.
All right, thank you very much. We will now move on to board reports, and the first report that we have is from the Policy Committee.
Mr. President, the Policy Committee is meeting this Thursday, I believe along with the Finance Committee. So I won't have a report until the next meeting.
The next board report is from the Finance Committee.
Yes, Mr. President, our next meeting will be April the 17th. It will be a work session. We will be reviewing the audit report from February of 2024 in the next meeting for the State Board of Accounts.
Thank you. And our next report is from the Superintendent Search Committee.
Yes, Mr. President. There's a number of items that I want to cover here. March 29th, the vacancy was posted on the BWP, who is our contractor for the superintendent search. It was posted on their website. It is now listed on our SCEC website, and it's also been posted on Nimble. Nimble syncs to the Indiana Educator Job Board, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, Glassdoor, and Google Jobs. It's also posted on the Illinois Education Job Bank, National Alliance of Black School Educators, Association of Latino School Administrators, and American Association of School Administrators. On Monday, April 15th, it's a date that BWP, and if I could just interject here, BWP is the firm that hired that brought forth the superintendent in Munster, and they are also the group that is working with the Gary School District, the Markham School District, and others in the area. So they have a real big footprint here in the Chicagoland area. On Monday, April 15th, BWP is going to be on site in the district to facilitate focus groups and open community forums. They're working with the district staff and finalizing the schedule, which I believe was sent out this morning. There is an online survey. It's finalized and it is running in English and Spanish. The survey began on April 5th, and Trustee Rodriguez and I had a conversation this afternoon, and we asked them to extend the deadline on the survey from the 14th to the 17th, so that bought us 3 additional days to help spread the words to our friends, neighbors, and colleagues regarding the survey. On April 15th, the BWP group will make individual phone calls to interview board members confidentially. Those calls will take between 20 and 30 minutes. Dr. Hill, Deborah Hill, who is leading this search for us, she is right now preparing a press release, and to date, we've had 10 applicants for the position. Again, we did meet with individuals during the National School Board Association conference who've had experience with this, and one of them was Dr. Marcus Alexander. He is a superintendent, and he is leading the Gary search right now. One thing that we were told is the timeline of this search is very similar to the timeline of Savannah, Georgia, which is a search that they did just last year. And the search is right, they actually started the same day that we did. they were actually able to complete their search by the end of May. So the group feels that we can certainly meet the goal of meeting the July 1st deadline. They also wanted to make sure that we shared that it's not a sole effort by BWP. We've involved school district employees, so I want to thank Diane Bigham, Jeremy Torres, Sylvia Alvarez, and of course Linda Randolph for helping us get this project moving forward. And this is the first update. I will have updates for each subsequent meeting. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you. We will now move on to the approval of the agenda. Is there any comments from the audience on the approval of the agenda? Seeing none, hearing none, do I have a motion for 4.01?
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve item 4.01.
Second.
Motion made by trustee Rodriguez, second by trustee Gomez. Is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, we will do a voice vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed, nay. All right, the motion passes. Next item on the agenda is 5.01, the distribution of payroll. Is there any comments from the audience on 5.01? Seeing and hearing none, is there a motion for the approval of 5.01?
Make a motion for approval. I'll second that motion.
Motion made by trustee Smith, second by trustee Rodriguez. Is there any discussion?
Mr. President, did you want to handle those items in Section 5 of the agenda separately, or did you want a motion to approve the entire consent agenda?
Oh, there was a motion for the entire consent agenda, but since we're already in it,
Okay.
we'll go ahead and vote for those two individually. So again, the motion was made by trustee Smith, second by trustee Rodriguez. Is there any further discussion on 5.02, the approval for the fundraisers? Seeing and hearing none, we will go ahead with the voice vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next thing on our agenda is new business. We will start with 6.01.
Mr. President, just to clarify, I know you started with 5.01, distribution of payroll, and then you ended with fundraisers. So we,
Oh, I missed one?
yeah.
Okay. Okay. My apologies. To go back to 5.02, the approval for the fundraisers, is there any comments from the audience on 5.02? Seeing and hearing none, is there a motion for the approval of 5.02?
Mr. President, make a motion to approve 5.02.
Second.
Motion made by trustee Rodriguez, second by trustee Gomez. Is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, we will go ahead with a voice vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. All right, now we are on new business. We will go ahead with 6.01, the approval of the personnel report. Is there any comments from the audience on the approval of the personnel report? Okay. You can go ahead and step up to the mic and give us your name and address, and then you can give us your comments.
Okay, Annie Dinkins, 4759 Cary Street, East Chicago, Indiana. I would like to address the position of criminal justice teacher that was posted in the City of East Chicago website since August 2023. I spoke with the director of the CET department, also the interim superintendent, who I was told that I need to go through the proper steps. I completed an application August 2023, also December 2023, and a third time at the Cary Gosh job fair, at which time I was told that even though I do have a bachelor's degree, a certificate in criminal justice, an associate's degree in criminal justice, and a high school diploma from the East Chicago Washington High School, that was not enough to take the position, that they wanted experience. Yes, thank you. Also, the person that they're filling the position with, if you take a moment to look at the Indiana Department license lookup, you will see that they do not have a degree at all. And, but they were given a workplace special license on March 26th, which is the same day of the last board meeting, which is the same date that I gave you all a letter of intent for the position. I feel that I should be considered for this position because of my education, because of Indiana residents, and because I kept getting pushed along without any attention from the CTE director. I would like for the board to acknowledge the fact that I am qualified for this position with my criminal justice degrees, and that at this time I'm ready and willing to apply for the workplace special license with the approval of administration. If anyone would like to see my degrees, they're here. Thank you.
Okay now.
Any other comments from the audience at this time?
So you're gonna table it? Pass this to Patty.
Melvin Mobley, 3625 Pulaski Street. I just had to get up here and sort of go behind what the young lady just got through saying. If she has all those degrees, whoever is pushing her to the side, I mean, how can she be counted out and not even seriously considered for a job like that? And she surely qualifies for it. I think you really should look at that seriously. That's a serious matter, and it shouldn't have never come to this. For the last, 2 years? She applied 3 times in 1 year, back-to-back months, and here we are today, and she's still not employed in that position? We have to continue to put the agenda of the children first instead of the agenda of ourselves, and quit playing political games with people's lives. And again, like you said yourself, we all are in the same boat, East Chicago residents. But I'm not going to be long. I just had to get up here and say that because of what she's going through now should be eliminated as of tonight. Thank you.
Are there any other comments? Okay. Is there a motion for 6.01?
Mr. President,
Yes,
I'd
Trustee
like to
Gomez.
move for acceptance of the personnel report with the exception of page 1, document 1.
Okay, one more time.
The move is for approval of the personnel report as is, with the exception, with the removal of doc 1 on page 1.
All right. The motion made by Trustee Gomez, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, second made by Trustee Gibson. All right, is there any discussion?
Mr. President, I do have a comment, however.
Go ahead.
We as a board, we do not go through the process as far as hire. That's actually done by our administration, and we do appreciate your comments as you approach the mic. So it gives us a clear understanding as who we feel is supportive of the hire and not. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Go ahead, Trustee
I'd like
Gomez.
to add to my comments that this effective date isn't until August 1 of 2024. So there's no rush, no need to make a decision on this today. I was reading the document that we were given at the last board meeting This East Chicago resident has come to us and pleaded her case. She's followed the chain of command. She's done everything the right way. And it is at this point in time where I think the board needs to step in and make a decision on how we want to be. Do we promote qualified East Chicago people to be teaching in our school district? I believe we should do that. I believe that should be a paramount interest to this board. And the fact that she came to us week after week, or the last 2 weeks, to try to plead her case to us, again, following the chain of command, she's done everything the right way. And I cannot understand why we would not want to have a qualified teacher in our school district versus somebody who has no teaching license. And I understand Trustee Rodriguez's a point, but there becomes a point in time where a line has to be drawn between our kids and the adults. And to me, the kids come first, and the kids should have quality education. I'm sure this young lady sitting next to me would want to have all things said at the end of the day, would want to have a qualified teacher teaching her in the classroom, and that's where I'm about. I'm really thankful that we have an educator on this board now, and I believe that we need to have education first in this community.
I'll second that motion.
I move for a vote.
Okay. I just have one more point. I do agree. I am in favor of this motion. I do agree with Trustee Rodriguez and Trustee Gomez. But what I would like to see for myself is just a meeting where we just discuss what the hiring process looks like, just so that we are all, as a board, on the same page in that process. Not only, of course, for teachers, but just for people throughout our district. I would certainly appreciate that. So is there any further discussion? All right, seeing and hearing none, we will go ahead with the voice vote. So all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Next, we have 6.02, the approval of the claim docket. Is there any comments from the audience on the approval of 6.02? Seeing none and hearing none, is there a motion for 6.02?
Mr. President, make a motion?
Second.
Motion made by Trustee Rodriguez, second by Trustee Gomez. Is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, we will go ahead with a voice vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes. Moving on, we have 6.03, the approval of executive October 31st, 2023, regular board minutes November 6th, November 13th, 2023, special session November 16th, 2023, regular session November 20th, 2023, and the regular session from December 4th, 2023. Is there any comments from the audience on 6.03? Seeing and hearing none, is there a motion for 6.03?
Mr. President, I move for approval of the claim docket. I'm sorry, the approval of the minutes.
Second.
A motion made by Trustee Gomez, second by Trustee Smith. Is there any discussion? Just a discussion point for me. I'm going to abstain from these minutes since I wasn't part of the deliberations and the discussions. All right. Hearing and seeing no other discussions, we will go ahead with a voice vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. And there's going to be one abstention, which is myself. Okay. Motion passes. Next, we have 6.04, the approval of the agreement with BWP Superintendent Search. Is there any comments from the audience on this time on 6.04? Seeing and hearing none, we can go ahead with a motion.
Mr. President, I move for approval. 6.04.
Motion made by trustee Gomez,
I'll second that motion. I do have a question.
okay, second made by trustee Rodriguez, and now we can enter discussion. Trustee Rodriguez.
This is for, question for Mr. Harris. I know that the agreement does say approval of agreement, but the letter is actually a letter of understanding. Would that be considered a contract?
It is. It is considered a contract. They fashion their documents, particularly at this stage, early on, as a letter of understanding. But yes, it is an agreement.
Did you have I'm sorry, one more question, Mr. Harris. Did you have an opportunity to review the contract?
I did have an opportunity to review the contract and, in fact, made edits to the agreement to protect the best interests of the district.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes,
I'd
trustee
like to make
Smith.
a statement.
Yeah.
I have no problem with this particular company. I know the works that they've done in different communities, different districts, and they have like 5-star rating. My only problem is with this is, it's nothing against the company, it's nothing against anybody. I just want this particular superintendent search to take its time. I don't want to rush anything. That's been our problem in the past. That's just my opinion. When we rush and we don't do our research, we make mistakes. So I have no problem with the company. I just want the process to go smoothly, and I do not want it to be rushed. I just can't phantom another superintendent coming in and coming out only because we have a timeline. Timeline means that you're just going to make a rush. This is a very serious position, and it affects not only just our district, but most of all, it affects our children, and it affects the morale of this district. So, like I said, I have no problems with the company. I'll vote for the company, but I want this process to really go as smooth as possible with no political hidden agendas. And I'm really pleading for the community to come out and voice your opinion, because it's about you. These are your tax dollars. These are our children. And if you don't stand for this, then you'll fall for anything. So I need you all to come out and participate in these surveys and do whatever we need to do in order to get on the right track. Like I said, I have nothing against the company. They are 5-star, and they've done pretty well, from what I understand. But for once, I'm asking you as a community, come out. Stop complaining about what's not happening and make things happen. That's all I'm asking you to do. Participate in this survey. Teachers, principals, administration, students, participate in the survey. That's all I'm asking. I want our community to flourish, which I know we can. I know we have all the tools, and I just want us to be on one accord. I want this to work so that we can move further. It is another century. We're going into a whole nother decade of children, social emotional learning. All of that has to be a part of it. So please, please participate in the survey. Thank you.
No, I agree with you, trustee Smith. And from my understanding, we made the timeline as just checkpoints, just to make sure that we're hitting deadlines. But I agree that, at least you have it for me, that we will take our time and we're going to choose the right candidate. And if, it doesn't coincide with our timeline, we can move our timeline. It's movable. I don't see it as deadline. I just see it as little checkpoints here and there.
Okay.
So you do have my support in that. Before we vote on it, I do want to ask trustee Gomez if you can just go in a little bit of detail about the community forums and how that impacts this agreement, kind of what we have planned for meeting with community members, parents, students, so on and so forth.
Thank you. I'd like to go on record first by saying BWP was not my first choice. That was the will of the board to go with BWP. I realized that, sometimes you have to give in to the will of the greater, for the greater good. I think BWP is an excellent group, and the questions, the reservations that I had were fully vetted with the organization through the process. And every question I had, speaking with board members in the area who have been through a search with them, I became very comfortable with BWP. To answer your question, I just want to reiterate that Monday, April 15th, because we do have to set deadlines, April 15th is the day that BWP, this is a professional team that has placed superintendents across this country. They are nationally recognized, 5-star organization. They promised us they would not get us a superintendent. They would get us a super duper superintendent. And, I was very pleased to hear that from them. Online survey again begins April 5th and it goes through April 17th, and it's been extended through the requisition of myself and Trustee Rodriguez. It'll conclude on April 17th at 6:00 p.m. So anyone who wants to be a willing participant in the survey, and that's anybody in the East Chicago community, can weigh in. The survey is going to be in English and Spanish. On April 15th, Monday, that is the date the BWP will be here on site. They will be interviewing the staff. They'll be interviewing principals. We didn't want them to be on site. We wanted to take them off site. So these meetings will be held at the Pastrick Library and the main library. We felt the further we get people away from this building, the more open that they would be with the community. Now, the board's not going to be involved in any of that. We've been asked intentionally not to appear at any of the forums. Again, they were going to interview us individually on April 14th. But on Monday, April 15th, that's a date set for BWP to be here on site. They're going to have 4 people on site. All of them are retired or currently active superintendents. They're very focused on East Chicago right now at this point in time. Things are wrapping up in Gary. They're down to 2 finalists over there. So they pretty much wrapped up their work over there. Their next focus is here in East Chicago. On that day, they're going to have interviews with the district employees, and then they will facilitate focus groups. And finally, they'll conclude at the end of the day with open community forums at both Block Middle School and Central High School. Those will be at 6:00 p.m., and those are anticipated to run about 60 to 90 minutes. They're going to have forums in English and Spanish. They're also going to have Zoom meetings for those employees, those individuals who cannot attend one of the sessions on Monday, April 15th. So they're making every effort to reach out to every member of our community to get input from everyone so that we do have a super duper superintendent. And I think that's all I can say for right now. Beyond that, what's going to happen is the BWP group will then form a leadership profile based on the survey results, based on the interviews that they do. They will develop what they call a leadership profile. They will send that to us to review. We will then approve it, and that leadership profile will go attached to the superintendent group search that I mentioned earlier on Nimble, on our website, on the BWP website. This will go across the United States. Give you an idea, the individual we met from Markham, their superintendent is coming in from Tucson, Arizona, and they're ecstatic about this individual. So this is a great organization that we're working with. There's probably more to report, but in short, April 15th is the key date for interviews in person, and then April 17th is the key date, the final date for the survey to be completed. The survey, by the way, is not a long survey. It should take you no more than 10 minutes. But again, they've done the same survey in Munster, Gary, Markham, and other communities with great deal of Savannah, Georgia, with great deal of success. So I'm looking forward to this. I think that's all I can add. If there's anything else.
One more thing, I'm sorry.
go ahead,
Trustee
Trustee Smith.
Gomez, what, you said April 15, 2024, what, at the Pastrick Library?
That's it. Yes, those will be the community focus groups.
Okay, what
And,
time? Did they have a
Those will
time?
be throughout the day.
Okay.
Yeah. And focus groups are individuals that Ms. Randolph has helped us put together, and the board has had input. These are specific groups that we've selected individuals. Now, we don't want to have 10 members from the same organization there, so we've requested that one member from each organization be represented, and so we don't want to have too much weighted one way or the other. That'll be the focus groups. The actual community forums will be at the middle school, at Block Middle School, and at Central High School, so it'll cover both sides of town
And those community meetings would be at 6.
at 6 PM.
Both at 6 PM?
Yeah, they're at 6 PM. They will not be Zoom, by the way. They do not want the board to be, involved in this process. They want us to remain as far apart and let the community and our staff be open about how they feel about what they want to see in a superintendent. I think it's a great idea, and, I think they're going to come up with a good profile for us to determine where our future lies.
Mr. President, I just want to add to Trustee Gomez's statement as well. Right now, the focus is the survey. In the next 6 days, it's important to get everyone's input. You can go to our website. As Trustee Gomez stated, it's in English and in Spanish. You can use your cell phone. You can use your laptop. You can go to the library, use a laptop there, but it's very important to get that survey in. That's going to let us know what you guys want to see in a superintendent. So it's very important for that survey to be completed by you, and we'll go from there. But that's the priority right now, is that survey. Thank you.
All right. Is there any other discussion points at this time? All right. Seeing none, we can go ahead with the vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion passes. And next, we have 6.05, the approval of Avid agreement. Is there any comments from the or Dr. Mitchell, do you want to, I know it's a fairly short agreement. You just want to touch on the agreement for
Yeah.
us?
The School City of East Chicago has been in partnership with Avid for a number of years. Avid is a program that really focuses on college and career. We've been using Avid at the secondary level, not the elementary level, and the instructional leader at Central High School strongly recommends this, and also the teachers and the students have seen significant success with this particular program.
His baby. He's been pushing it for a while.
I got some stuff.
Thank you. At this point, is there any comments from the audience on 6.05? Seeing and hearing none, is there a motion for the approval of 6.05?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by trustee Smith,
Second.
second made by trustee Gomez. Is there any discussion?
Just one question. Dr. Mitchell, do you know how many students have applied for this or attended Avid last year?
Yeah, I believe, I just put that to the side. I believe there was 60,
That's fine.
I believe there was 62, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you.
Do you see it on that?
I saw it somewhere.
Yeah, it's on the second page.
You always say
I think there's 62. Students, and the number had dipped during the pandemic, and then it rose again last year. So I believe we're at, 62. 62 students.
That graduated from the program.
The number that graduated from the program, I'm not sure how many graduated from the program, but the program does have an average attendance rate of 95%. So it's I don't know how many graduated from the program, but with an attendance rate that high, and with the number of teachers that we have Avid trained, and it looked like the success rate, that graduation rate would probably be fairly significant. I just don't know that exact number, and I don't want to give a bad number at this time.
Thank you.
Well, excuse me, when you get the number, Ms. Mitchell, can you give it to us?
I will definitely share the number with you. I will contact I will contact the instructional leader and get that to you.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other discussion points at this time? All right. Seeing and hearing none, we will go ahead with the vote for 6.05. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Mr. President, I'm sorry, did we have a community input?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm sorry,
Yes.
I missed that.
okay.
I make a motion for approve.
We already went through that. We're at the vote now.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, okay.
apologies.
No. All right. So we will go ahead with the voice vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Next on the agenda, we have 6.06, approval to use Central High School gym for the autism walk. Is there any comments from the audience at this time about 6.06? All right, seeing no comments, is there a motion for 6.06?
Motion for approval.
Motion made by trustee Smith, second by trustee Rodriguez. Is there any discussion? I believe it's for Rain.
Yeah, and actually, we do have Ms. Tammy Poe here. I believe that we've had a 100% increase from last year to this year with this particular walk. Ms. Tammy Poe?
Yes, good evening. Yes, this is just in the case, but there's not going to be any rain, so I know we're not going to use it, but just in case we had to have a backup. So yes, we've had a huge increase, and we're really excited, so we're asking for the approval to use the gym in the case that.
Since you're up there, can you just tell us what time the event starts? And,
Absolutely.
I know there's lots of activities for people that aren't necessarily, maybe not participating in the walk, but there's a lot of activities. Can you just provide us a little bit of details?
Yes, so the signups will take place all the way until the morning of. We start signing up on that day at 10 o'clock, but right now we encourage you to sign up on the website, use the QR code because the T-shirts are running out. Last year, we did have, I think, about 200 signed up at the beginning. We already have 500 plus, almost 600 right now. So we anticipate that on that day, we're going to have a whole lot more. But the walk kicks off at 12 o'clock, and then all of the games, events, there's going to, like the basketball team, Coach Ala's going to have some track events. We're going to have the softball group, they're going to have some softball events. We have like a carnival event. We have bouncy houses. We have a DJ, tons of vendors for parents, for the resources for parents. Goodness, there are so many things. I think there are going to be a few food trucks and some donations as far as that goes too.
Right, Ms. Poe, you never said the day.
Oh, goodness, this Saturday, I am so sorry. It's this Saturday, the 13th. And yes, so like I said, we'll be setting up early, but registration, if you haven't registered or you don't get to register, you can register there, and it does start at 10 o'clock.
Right.
The T-shirts may be out by then, so I would advise you to hurry up and get registered. Thank you, I'm sorry about that.
Thank you. All right. Is there any other discussion at this time? Seeing and hearing none, we can go ahead with the voice vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes. Next order of business is 6.07, the approval of the sponsorship for the shirts for the Autism Awareness Walk. Is there any comments from the audience on 6.07? Seeing and hearing none, do I have a motion for the approval of 6.07?
Mr. President, I make a motion.
Second.
Motion made by trustee Rodriguez, second by trustee Gomez. Is there any discussion? I asked for audience, but, okay. How about, are you guys fine with going back to asking Can we do that, trustee, or, sorry, Attorney Harris? Would that be
That's
fine?
the prerogative of the chair, if you.
Oh,
want
okay.
to permit.
Then, yes, go ahead.
Thank you. It's really quick. Hi, my name is Mercedes Taylor, 4320 Parish Avenue. I just wanted to share that the EC alumni class has collaborated and came together to sponsor and donate T-shirts for the Autism Walk for the ladies softball team.
Thank you. Is there any discussion at this time? All right, seeing and hearing none, we will go ahead with a voice vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes.
Excuse me, may I add something? As far as the T-shirt sponsors, we're using the special games money. We used to have a huge special games. I don't know if you remember this, but we're trying to get back to that. And so that's what this is for, but we've also have 10 other sponsors that are adding to it for the T-shirt. So I just want to kind of add that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have 6.08, the approval of MOU with communities in the School of Lake County.
Yes, with Communities and Schools, this is one of our longtime partners. They've been with us for a number of years supporting our students. They once were supporting our students at the community centers within East Chicago, but since the disbandment of those community centers, they moved into our schools with offices across the district. We do have the executive director here today that will share a couple of words about this MOU. This is no cost to the district, but this is a grant opportunity that they're going after that will benefit our children.
Good evening. My name is Thomas Johnson. I'm the Director of Operations for Community Schools of Lake County. I want to start by thanking the board and School City of East Chicago for their constant support for communities and schools and allowing us to serve your students. So, yes, Community Schools is always seeking opportunities to continue delivering services for the district. And so we're in the process of seeking grant funding opportunities. There's particularly the 21st Century Community Learning Centers out-of-school program grant. This would allow us to continue providing out-of-school or after-school programming at current schools that we provide right now. This is a 5-year grant. It's renewable each year, up to $1.5 million. It will begin July 2025 until July 2029. Again, this is renewable each year based on outcomes. We are hoping to get MOU in order for us to apply for this grant, in order for us to be eligible to apply for this grant. And we're hopefully starting early so we can submit this grant that is due in August, but we want to go ahead and take our time, but at the same time work efficiently. So I am making a request if you could sign that MOU for us in order for us to submit this grant.
Is there any other comments from the audience at this time on 6.08? All right, seeing and hearing none, do I have a motion for 6.08?
Mr. President, I move for approval.
Motion made by trustee Gomez,
Second.
second by trustee Rodriguez. Is there any discussion
Mr.
or
President,
any questions?
yes, Mr. President.
Yes, trustee Gomez.
I love community and schools. I think you've done an absolutely fantastic job. I don't know where we'd be without your help, so thank you very much. That being said, I do have a concern. My concern would be, I believe in the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth whereas, it defines you doing youth development as part of the out-of-school time program at Harrison, McKinley, Block, and High School, in Central High School. What concerns me is that if you will, the harbor side is not reflected on this MOU. Can you address the disparity?
Oh, well, this can always be altered. I mean, we're just.
I would love if we could add those, please.
Those other schools?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely consider
I
those.
really think, that would benefit the entire city, and, it'd be different if I was on that side of town only, but I represent the entire city, so
Understand.
I think we all should be. And so if I may alter my motion to amend this to include Lincoln School and Washington Elementary School, that'd be okay? I'd really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Mr. President, I offer that as amended motion.
Yeah. Trustee Rodriguez, did you?
Yeah, I'll accept this amended motion as well.
Okay.
I second it.
All right. Is there any comments from the audience on the amended motion? Okay. Seeing and hearing none, we can,
Mr. President, I do have a question as well.
okay, discuss.
So the grant that you're actually going after, is that solely for City of East Chicago?
Yes, yes.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, just as a point of order, Attorney Harris, the amended motion, do we have to vote on that as a board and then vote on the contract? Is that correct?
No.
Or
Actually, the original motion for approval
was amended?
was amended.
Okay.
So you're fine.
Just wanted to double check. Okay. Is there any other comments at this time? Okay. Seeing no other comments from us board members, we will go ahead with a voice vote on 6.08. So all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All oppose? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Next, we have 6.09, the approval of Cummins Sales and Service Agreement. Dr. Mitchell, if you can provide us a brief overview.
Yes, Cummins is a company that do large-scale generators and various electronic products. We have, currently we have these generators in 6 of our buildings. This is a service agreement to continue to service those generators in case we have unfortunate circumstance occur that we won't lose power and lose all of our systems. And it gives us a little bit of time to make certain precautions so that we don't have a total disaster.
All right, thank you. Is there any comments from the audience on 6.09, the approval of Cummins Sales and Service Agreement? Seeing and hearing none, is there a motion for the approval of 6.09?
Mr. President?
Yes, Trustee Gomez?
Yes, I've just had a discussion with Attorney Harris regarding this. I've worked with Cummins before. They do an exceptional job. 100% back them. What I am really concerned about, though, is the last paragraph of the front page of this, and it mentions that on line 2 of that last paragraph, planned maintenance agreements are quote-unquote auto-renewed annually prior to the end of your agreement. I think the board has taken a position in years past that we do not want to get into a position of auto-renewing any contracts. And so given this, I'd like to ask Attorney Harris to weigh in on the proper motion for this.
So I agree with Trustee Gomez's comments. There also is another concern. So that language in the auto renewal is in basically the cover letter to the agreement. So while it's not in the agreement, it does create the impression that there is some auto renewal requirement. What I'd recommend is if it's the board's pleasure to approve this agreement, that we clear up this issue of auto renewal by indicating to Cummins that we don't accept any auto renewal term. There also isn't any provision in the agreement itself or in the cover letter that tells the parties how to provide notice of termination of the agreement. So normally when you have an auto renewal, it reads that it'll auto renew unless terminated so many days prior to a certain date. So none of that's there. What you can do is approve the agreement itself, and we can send back the agreement with a cover letter that outlines all of those concerns regarding no auto renewal, and in the event of termination, we'll do so with so many days' notice and pursuant to certain methods.
So essentially, we'll just put the ball in their court?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
So if there's a motion for approval, it would be with the conditions that I've outlined for the board tonight.
Okay.
And Mr. President, I'll make the motion with those conditions applied to the service contract.
And I would just ask you, I know it's a little tough, but can you just verbalize what those differences were?
Yes.
What?
You want me to do it?
Go ahead.
Okay. So when we respond back to Cummins, we'll say that the board voted tonight to approve the service agreement, but upon the condition that there will be no auto renewal, and that in the event of termination, we'll provide them with 30 days written notice.
All right, thank you. Is there a second?
There's a second, yes.
Okay, so the motion was made by trustee Gomez, second by trustee Rodriguez. Is there any discussion?
Just one discussion, Attorney Harris. So in the planned maintenance agreement, the quote term does say 3 years. So we're going to allow the 3 years?
Yes, if that's the intention, that we have a 3-year service agreement, I'm not trying to change that.
Okay.
It's just, if we're going to terminate it, we have to have some mechanism for doing it, and it needs to be directed to someone in particular, so we'll add that language.
Thank you.
All right, and then there will be no auto renewal.
Okay. Is there any other discussion at this time? Okay. Seeing and hearing none, we will go ahead with the voice vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All oppose? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Next on the agenda, we have 6.10, the approval to accept 2023-2025 Title III grants.
Yes, this is a Title III grant, which is a non-competitive grant for the 2023 to 2025, and the amount of $68,400. We are, Sochi Medina, the Director of English Language Learners is requesting the board approval for this so that we can accept this and apply it to the programs that we have that impact our English language learners.
At this time, is there any comments from the audience on 6.10, the approval to accept 2023-2025 Title III grants? Seeing and hearing none, is there a motion for 6.10? Motion made by trustee Smith,
Second.
second by trustee Gomez. Is there any discussion?
Mr. President?
Yes.
I know that the cover letter does state 68,400. As you go to the second page, the earmarked amount is 74,328, the funding amount. So is there a clerical error, or what's the question? I mean, what's the difference?
That and then the 74,000 funding amount.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You can say it as she's looking. Or, well, maybe
Yeah.
wait. $68,000 was.
How much she's asking or
Okay.
Mr. Harris, can you clarify the amendment of the approval? Because obviously, it is 74,328 is what the funding amount shows.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we made the motion for the agreement. The memo isn't part of the agreement,
Okay.
so I think we should be okay.
I agree with that.
Okay. All right.
So can you clarify the motion again?
Yeah.
I think trustee Smith, I believe you made the motion. No. Ms.
Yes.
Bigham, can you?
She motioned it.
Oh, trustee Smith?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so just, I guess, can you just alter it so the motion reads that we're voting on the $74,328? Okay, trustee Rodriguez, was trustee Rodriguez the second?
Second.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Second,
second.
made by trustee Gomez. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. President?
Yes.
I'm going to go back to the final page, the top paragraph there. It says, please remember that each LEA is responsible for monitoring its cash balances and for revising and/or submitting reimbursement forms as necessary. I'm asking this question now because we just approved at our last meeting a $120-some thousand grant
Yes.
to a firm that is doing the job that we have internal people that are supposed to be doing. My question is, who's monitoring this? And Ms. Simmons, you could feel free to answer this.
I am the LEA
Okay,
of the district.
okay.
Okay. Is there any other comments or discussion on 6.10? All right, seeing none, we will go ahead with a voice vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All oppose? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Next, we have 6.11, the approval to dispose Lysol wipes.
Yes, we've had Lysol wipes stored in our facilities for a number of years. They've passed expiration and starting to mold and taking up valuable space that we need. And so not only are these wipes old and molded, but they're also taking up space, and we would like to dispose of these properly by moving them to a disposal agency that can process it appropriately.
Thank you. Is there any comments from the audience on 6.11? Hearing and seeing none. Is there a motion from the board for 6.11?
Mr. President, I properly make a motion to dispose of the wipes.
Motion made by trustee Rodriguez, second made by trustee Smith. Any discussion?
Mr. President,
Yes.
I'd just like to be clear, is this disposal? Because the letter that we get from Ms. Simmons says we would like for this equipment to be stored at the transportation building. So is it storage or is it disposal?
Well, this is disposal of the wipes so that we can store the HVAC equipment that we've received for McKinley, Harrison, and Washington at the transportation
Okay,
building.
gotcha. Thank you.
All right. Is there any other discussion at this time?
Just a comment.
Yes.
And I do appreciate Dr. Mitchell to properly approach any items that need disposal to the board's attention, because it does need board action for any items to be surplus. Thank you, Dr. Mitchell.
All right. Seeing no other discussion, we will go ahead with a voice vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All oppose? Any abstention? Motion passes. Next on the agenda, we have 6.12, the approval to dispose non-operable vehicles. Dr. Mitchell,
Yes, we have several vehicles that are non-operable and considered to be junk. They have no value to us. They've been depreciated properly according to the accounting standards. They're no longer drivable. We would like to dispose of these as they pose a risk just sitting in on our property without not only for vandalism, but also risks due to the environmental hazards if they start to leak and things like that. We want to make sure that we are being good stewards of the resources, but also we want to also make sure that we're limiting the liability of the district by disposing of goods and products when they have reached their useful life.
thank you. Is there any comments from the audience on 6.12? Seeing none and hearing none, do I have a motion for the approval of 6.12?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion made by trustee Gomez, second by trustee Rodriguez. Is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, we will go ahead with a voice vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Next on the agenda, we have a CBA 6.13, 6.13, the approval of the clerical collective bargaining agreement.
Yes, this bargaining agreement is with the Service Employees International Union, Local 73 Clerical Unit. We negotiated in good faith last year during the November to December timeframe, come to what agreements in the top of the year, and we're just bringing this forward. We do have Brandon Bowles, who is the representative from the Chicago office of SEIU Local 72, as well as Attorney John Cantrell, that was the labor union attorney. If there's any questions about this CBA, we do have both the representation from management as well as the representation from employees present.
Is there any comments from the audience on 6.13?
No, they just said it with support.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
if
right.
you have any questions, like, yes.
Okay. All right. Is there, seeing that there's no comments from the audience, is there a motion from the board to approve the CBA agreement 6.13?
I move for approval.
Motion made by trustee Gomez. I'll go ahead and second it. Is there any discussion or any questions?
Just as a point of clarification for the board and the audience, any changes that have been made to this that would benefit the community for their knowledge?
So the question.
So any changes that have been made? I know that last time we spoke, you mentioned that the last conversations you had were back in January.
Yeah.
And then I asked you, I believe at our last meeting, have there been any changes from January to then? Have there been any changes from our last meeting or January to today?
No, we're, we're.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah, we're TA, yeah.
thank you.
Is there any other discussion at this time? Seeing and hearing none, we will go ahead with a voice vote on the approval of 6.13. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All oppose? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Moving on, we will begin public forum. Attorney Harris.
Good evening. When you step to the podium, if you could, please state your name and your address. You'll have 3 minutes to give your remarks. Please keep in mind that this isn't a question and answer session, but rather an opportunity for you to make comments to the board during their meeting. Any comments that you make should not involve personnel matters, and please be respectful to the audience, the board, and to the staff that's present. Thank you.
We have Mrs. Annie Dinkins.
Hello again, Annie Dinkins, 4759 Cary Street. What I did was I printed up what I was reading, and I just wanted to pass out a copy to you all because I knew I was going to skip some items being nervous. So is that okay?
Oh, yes.
Yes, it's okay.
This is what I was reading, but I
Oh, okay.
skipped some of it because.
Yeah. Public speaking, you get so in.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mrs. Foster.
Hello, my name is Rendea Foster, 4347 Connecticut Street. I would just like to present something to the board, if that's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Murphy.
D. Murphy, 13436 Hoosier Hill Drive. I just wanted to first say thank you for all of the support that we've been getting, but I will let you all know it's been a struggle, and I'm sure I can speak up for all of my colleagues that the behavior is getting worse, and these students are not being held accountable for it. I know because my hand was in a student's mouth this past Friday. As a result of trying to protect the rest of my students from an aggressive student who obviously had prior issues before I got to that building. And I think a lot of students are not held accountable of their actions. And I just decided that I needed to go back and just kind of to make sure that I was doing things the correct way. A lot of people are not well versed on what the regulation states. Page 34, last paragraph, inappropriate language or gestures directed towards staff. We hear a lot of this, and no one is held accountable. These students are not held accountable. Page 36, last paragraph, you can go and find it. It's on the website if anyone wants to go and read. Page 36, last paragraph, insubordination and or disrespect. We get this on a daily basis, consistent. And when students get irate, they might get a slap on the wrist, if that, and then they're back in class, which now makes the teacher and the rest of the students the focus of the aggression. And now we're the target. Page 37, first paragraph, libel and or slander. We get this a lot as well. Students like to text and whoever, and we don't know who's coming up to these buildings, or we'll open them up. There was a student where we had a situation with, and administration didn't even know until 6th hour. This student was not even supposed to be here. Page 41, last paragraph, threats against or attacks on the staff. Just as I stated previously, this happens more than it should. And these students have an arrogance and a position of entitlement that they believe they can do what they want to do. I've heard this. Page 47, number 1, on unlawful activity. And these are just some of the consequences that we should hold them accountable. Because if we slip up and we do anything, then we're held to a higher standard. We should not deviate from these. And this is all regulation that should go, that we need to abide by and stick to it, because our students cannot learn, we cannot teach if we're dealing with disrespect, activities that are not becoming of any scholar or in a setting where we're supposed to be for higher education. And this last one, physical assault against a staff member. Again, we have this, and you cannot, as a staff member, all students have the right to education, so we cannot press charges on these students, but what does it do for us? So just some food for thought for you all, just to let you know. Thank you so much.
One follow-up. Hello,
Mr. Murphy.
Mr. Murphy. One follow-up. I have a follow-up question. Yes, sir. Which, is this one school, or do you see this across?
I see this across, and I'm one of the few teachers, maybe the only one in the district that sees it at the middle school and at the high school. Because a lot of times, our students, well, our teachers, we don't have enough collaboration between one another. So if students get away with it at the middle school, they take that same behavior, take it to the high school, and it spreads like wildfire. Even our good kids start to get on some of that behavior, take on some of that behavior. And now and then when they're not held accountable, it just opens up the floodgates. And we have too much of that going on, which is why teachers don't want to come back.
Yeah.
Bus drivers don't want to drive the students because they act crazy on the buses. But if we hold our students accountable and we have a regulation, if we stick to that and we keep our foot down, because it's in black and white for a reason, I guarantee you that'll cut a lot of this stuff out.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Murphy?
Yeah, Mr. Murphy, he's a
What does he-
music teacher.
music teacher,
Yeah, at both schools. Helen Steinbach.
Bach.
Steinbach.
Helen Steinbach, 5207 East 73rd Avenue in Maryville, Indiana. I'm reading, I can't read it now, it's in Spanish, but we have an inspirational, engaging, knowledgeable leader already sitting at the table. So that's what I wanted to say.
We have Elizabeth. Yes. Thank you, Liz. Mhm. Yes, yes.
All right, thank you. You want me to start?
Well, I'm still gonna ask. Okay.
Hello, everyone. You guys might remember me from the last meeting. My name is Tim DeSilva. I'm an East Chicago resident, 3901 Melville Avenue, New Addition. That's my neighborhood. I'm here to talk to you guys today once again about our Earth Week celebration that we're having in collaboration with East Chicago Parks and Recreation. It's going to start on April 20th, which is a Saturday, and there's going to be an art contest with cash prizes. So, cash, if you guys, want to get you,
Excited.
yeah. And that art contest is going to be judged by one of our city's own artists, Felix Maldonado. So one of our own, yeah. We're gonna, this is a good way for you guys to come out and support our city, support conservation in East Chicago. And, it's a good way for us, people of all ages, to learn and have some fun, with our different conservation-based events. Saturday, April 20th will be the kickoff, and the following week, we will have a different conservation-based event each day. So, yay!
Okay. Yes, we are so excited to have our first Earth Day here in East Chicago. We just can't contain ourselves. A few of us got together and we did this working with the city of East Chicago, the parks. The mayor has joined in. He has also signed the Monarch Pledge, so we will have native plants in our Kosciuszko Park area. We also have a lot of native plants here in our Washington Park here. But we have over 16 booths for our entertainment that day from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. It is a 2-hour event. We encourage you all to come out and see what's here. We have a beautiful greenhouse. Everything is free plants, free seeds, and free trees. So I encourage, we also have activities for the children. So come on out and have a day of fun, enjoy, and see what is around for all of our booths that are out coming from different areas of our Northwest Indiana. And we can all learn a few things, and especially our urban gardeners. We have 3 wonderful urban gardeners in Northwest Indiana, Gary and one here in East Chicago. There might be a few others, but we'd all like to collaborate with them and learn what we can grow for our city and in our city. But we are really excited again. So so come on out and enjoy yourself. Again, it's 11 a.m. to 1 on April 20th on Saturday at Washington Park. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have Mrs. Tammy Pohl. Oh, okay. Okay, that's it for our public forum.
Next, we will move on with trustee remarks, and we'll begin with our student trustee, Chelsea.
Thank you. I actually have very few remarks. First, prom is approaching very soon. Oh, yeah, got that out. May 4th, Grand March is May 4th, starting at 2 p.m., so please come out and support us. And second, graduation, which will be June 8th. I don't know the time of that, but if you don't have any family graduating, you're welcome to join and watch on the upstairs gym. And 3, cap and gown pictures. This is more like a senior thing. I don't really know if this will really be very interesting to you all, but we're taking them this Friday. I'm super excited, so yeah. And yeah, as a top 20 graduate, I have the honor of participating in the dinner, which will be, yes, April 26th at the marina. So exciting, so many exciting things coming up. Yes.
Congratulations again.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And that concludes.
You know what, I forgot to add that we have the school art center for grade level from 1 to 12 and in college. We have cash prizes and it's at the bottom. I have extra blank.
Thank you.
Okay.
Trustee Smith. Or, no, okay. Trustee Rodriguez?
Want to kind of elaborate a little bit on the, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? I just want to elaborate a little bit on the conference that we attended this past weekend, the NSBA Conference 2024. It was incredible. It was an organized event. In my 11 years of dedicated service as a board member, I have seldom encountered such an impactful gathering. The NSBA, there's a new president, Virginia McCotter Jacobs, who I had an opportunity to know for over 7 years, did seize the spotlight in her role, inviting all board members to participate in this new associations, regardless of their association's level of contribution and support from the state. Additionally, I am thrilled to share that I have been reelected as the CUBE Steering Committee member of the Council of Urban of Education. Thank you. And that's called CUBE, which is Committed Educational Opportunities for Urban School Boards and Leaders. CUBE equips us board members with the knowledge and skills imperative for serving as effective local educational policymakers as well as advocates for equity and public education. Also want to thank all our board members. I haven't seen in the last probably 5 or 6 years that all 5 board members attended this amazing opportunity in the National Association for School Boards, so I do want to acknowledge that as well. Among the sessions I have attended during the conference, one that particularly left a mark in my mind, and it sort of kind of goes with what Mr. Murphy stated. The workshop was called Workforce Investment for Better Learning Environment, investing in staff wellness. That to me was incredible importance of investing in the well-being of educational staff, as well as fostering improved outcomes for our students, our teachers, our educational system at large. By prioritizing teachers' well-being, school boards aim to enhance the allure of teaching profession, attracting talented individuals to the field of addressing teacher shortages, thereby benefiting students and educational system in total. But I do want to say that I was truly amazed, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to kind of share with you some more presentation as through the workshops that our board members have attended. And let me see, final, I believe that's it. Thank you.
Trustee Gibson King.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I also attended the National School Board Conference myself, and I was most astounded to see a person that I thought that I would not see in person, but just read about, and that person was Ruby Bridges. And she was a civil rights person, activist. Right now, she's an activist, she's an author and a speaker. But she was the first African-American child at 6 years old that attended a white school. And she spoke about this, and she really touched the audience that was there. There were thousands of people that was there to listen to what she had to say. Right now, she also spoke about her mother and her father. Her mother did not get an education, neither did her father. But the NAACP came and they knocked on the door of her house, of the home. Her mother agreed for her to go to this all-white school. And but her father was against it because he had went and served in the Vietnam in the World War II, and he was against it because he went and fought for his country. But by him fighting for his country, he still was not a person of color that was part of the country that he went and fought for. He did not want this to happen to his daughter, but her mother agreed for her to go because her mother wanted her to have an education and also to go to college. So she expounded on a lot of things that we need to hear today as far as our education for our children, all of our children, not just only children of color, but for all children. She had something to offer there. I was really ecstatic when I heard what she had to say. I wish that she was somebody that we could bring back into our district to speak about to some of our children as well as to some of our principals and administrators here. It's a need for a lot of things to happen for our children. And I know our children can learn, because if these things happened in 1954, what are we doing here in 2024? Are we moving forward or are we going backwards? So that's my question here. And I was really, like I said, I really was thrilled. And not only did I get a chance to see her, I told my colleagues here when I found out that she was going to be there, I said, well, I'm going to get a picture with her. And do you know, as the Lord would have it, I went on the stage and I got a picture with Mrs. Bridgman. I sure did. Because so I just wanted to bring that back to say who she is now, who she was then. And one thing that touched me, she said that the 6-year-old child is still in me. And that meant a whole lot because she's still fighting for the things that she had to go through. And she also took care of her 4 nieces who was her brother's child. He got killed. But they also went to that school that she went to. And they acknowledged, and she didn't go in there saying who she was. They knew who she was. So she's now in all the schools volunteering, doing things that educating is for our children. I also went to one workshop, too, was the Unlocking the Power of School Board Influences on Special Education, which people that know me, that is what I advocate for all children, but special needs children is one that I advocate for a long period of time. So I'm going to share some things later on with Tammy Pohl about some things that I learned at that conference as well. Thank you.
Trustee Gomez?
Thank you. There's a lot to cover. As Trustee Rodriguez mentioned, first time I can recall all 5 of us, all 5 board members being at the same conference. I know others have said that, it's they don't attend because it's a time for partying or whatever, but some of the greatest networking happens after the conference is over, is at those networking sessions where you meet some fantastic school board members, you meet attorneys. I know Attorney Harris was there, and you also meet some out-of-this-world superintendents that, something that is really different than what we've experienced, in 10 or 12 years of being an elected school board, and even before that. I mean, it's just amazing how dedicated some of these individuals are. The workshops I attended with Trustee Smith was the Understanding the Key Work of School Boards. Really, really informative. We spent 3 hours in that work session on day 1, and then the Student Achievement Data Transparency was the second half of that day. Beyond that, there were workshops that were a little bit shorter in nature. But again, with Patty Jo had mentioned that, the Ruby Bridges conversation was just amazing. Trustee Rodriguez and I sat up as close as we can get to the stage to see her, and it was amazing. One of the questions she was asked was, what does she remember from that time? And she honestly said, hey, I was only 6 years old, I don't remember a lot. But then she mentioned that she remembered that when she walked in, that the white principal took her to class and taught her and, brought her in and enveloped her with love. And she said, it was at that time that, I realized what Martin Luther King later said wasn't the color of the skin, because she was the same color as those people outside that building that didn't want her to go in there. But she said it was about the content of the character of the individual. And, that was pretty moving. It was fantastic. And again, I've heard some great speakers at these conferences over the years that inspire you to come back and do better in your own school district. The fact that 5 of us were there at the same time, same place, I think brought us so much closer together and we're more in tune with one another. I did, come over with a cold my last day. I was not in good shape. But each one of my colleagues called to check on me, and that really meant a lot, that I consider these people not only my colleagues, but my friends as well. So I'd like to think that our school district is going to continue to do better. Mr. Murphy, I'm sorry for the experiences you've had. I know that I hear that from a lot of teachers, and we need improvement in our district always. So we will continue to work and get better each and every day. I thank, the community for allowing us to go there and to learn. The school board sessions, you think you get on this board and you could learn it in, they say it's 2 years. It takes 2 years. It takes way more than that, and it's constantly professional development, constantly learning newer things as they develop throughout the course of life in one school district, whether they be rural, urban, or what have you. But I think it's been one of the best experiences, and I'm glad I attended. I'm sure President Arteaga has more that he could share. Thank you.
First off, I just want to thank Mr. Murphy for coming and talking to us about that. I know that that's an issue that a lot of people deal with, and I have the conversation with colleagues every day. I don't, we say it's just the generation. We say it's social media. We say it's parent involvement. I wish that we had an answer for some of these issues that are facing our children. I would like to talk to you afterwards, so please, stick around. In terms of the conference, again, I echo what all my colleagues said. I attended some workshops on board roles and responsibilities, diversity, equity, and inclusion, community engagement, and emerging families through advocacy. Like we said, hopefully at a later date we can share with you some pictures and share with you some information that we received while we were at this conference. And that concludes my reports or my remarks for this evening. The date and time.
Mr. President, if I can, I'm sorry to interrupt, but there was one item I left off, and I wanted to acknowledge Chelsea too. She's done a great job in attending these board meetings and sharing information with the board. That goes back to the Ruby Bridges comment that she went into a classroom and maybe Patty Jo can refresh her memory, but she went to a classroom where the kids were sitting there with their heads down on the table, and
Yes.
she was introduced by her teacher, correct? The teacher in the
Yes.
classroom. And the students said, she asked, did they know who Ruby Bridges is? They didn't know. She was astounded by that, but then the teacher came back and told her they couldn't have been not knowing you because we just read about you.
Right.
We just saw a movie on you.
Right.
So here the actual person is, this historic figure is in your classroom, and the kids could care less. And she was disappointed by that. But, this is an important message for our students. Chelsea, I hope you can share that message and encourage your colleagues in classroom to do better, to learn history, because otherwise, as Ruby said, there are some people out there who are trying to rewrite history for us. We can't let that happen. I'm sorry, Mr. President.
Mr. President, can I
I
just
did.
add just one note? And this is for the,
Okay,
this is
all
for
right.
this is for the record. I mean, there was history made. Over 3,500 board members that was on that was there, looking at Ruby Bridges. But what got me was, one individual board member from the school city of East Chicago got up on that main stage and actually shook her hand and took a picture with her. And I just wanted to share that with you guys, because my jaws was dropped when I saw that. I'm like, and it was on national TV, so. Sorry about that, I just want to put that on record.
I didn't want to make a statement, but have you all watched the movie, what was it, Trustee Rodriguez?
Flaming Hot.
Flaming Hot.
Yeah.
We got a chance to meet him Sunday, and he started as a janitor. Could speak no English, couldn't even read. He was a product of the desegregation. And when he was speaking, I thought about the experience I had when I was bused to all-white school. And he said, you know, he didn't want to go. And his mother said, you know, you got to make a difference. You know, you're different, but you're still a part, you're human. So he said he was standing waiting for the bus, and the little yellow bus passed him by. It was only 8 Hispanic children. The little yellow bus passed him by. So he said he was happy, and he told his uncle, well, I guess it's a Mexican holiday, so, because the little yellow bus passed him by. So he said later on down, here comes this big green, ugly, raggedy, rusty bus for the Hispanic children. I experienced that in the city of Gary in 1962. So his story I could relate a lot to, being bused, and only X amount of children were picked. They were basically handpicked to go to all-white school. But he said that he told his uncle, I'm not getting on that bus, I want to get on the little yellow bus. And his uncle said, no, you have to get on the ugly green bus. But his story was so, I experienced everything, the black, the white, the racial, and then also experience what Miss Bridges was talking about when she was talking about, the schools were ugly, they didn't have supplies. So, but then what I really was impressed with her about was, she said, we need to bring some of the old school back. We need to go to legislation and fight and bring some of this old school back, because we have totally got out of control. And then what she said, prejudice, evil has no prejudice. Anybody can come into a school evil and just take out a whole bunch of kids. They have no emotions, evil. And that's what she was saying. It's not a race. It's not a racial thing. It's an evil thing, which is overtaking our children and our society. So I was just really impressed. But the Frito-Lay man, the Flaming Hot, I don't eat them because they're too hot, but he really, really impressed me because I experienced his life. I was a part of that. When I couldn't get in this pool because I was African American. I couldn't, we had separate gyms, so he just kind of like touched my heart, and now he's a millionaire. But he said he's still ghetto. He had on a Hugo Boss jacket, Versace tie, Prada shoes, and a Walmart belt. So he said he was still ghetto. He said, but through all of that, his fight, he had to fight his way through and show them, I am a man of worth, and I have ideas. So if you haven't watched the movie, watch it. It's funny, but it's true.
Thank you. All right. The date and time of our next meeting is Tuesday, April 23rd, 2024, at 6 p.m., location to be announced. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
We need to come back.
I'll go ahead and motion for adjournment. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second made by trustee Gomez. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Meeting adjourned.